Record this is Thomas Mohan, complaint number 1656CR1018, allegedly charged with operating under the influence of drugs and serious injury and negligent, operating under the influence of liquor, serious injury and negligent operation of a motor vehicle, and Mark Lane's violation in the town of Weymouth on February 23rd, 2016. The court enters a plea of not guilty on your behalf.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Michael Pearl for the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth is seeking a bail and has filed a motion to revoke.
Why don't we do the motion to revoke? Okay.
Commonwealth is filing a motion to revoke on docket 1682CR 0056 out of the Hingham District Court. The defendant was arraigned in January, just a little over a month ago, in Hingham District Court on a charge of violation of an abuse prevention order. He was advised of his bail warnings, as indicated on Exhibit A on the motion that was attached. The Commonwealth would suggest, based on the facts of this case, as well as the fact that he had this open case at the time that this was pending, that he would pose a danger to the community. We would ask that his bail be revoked on the Hingham case. Additionally, we are seeking a cash bail on the new offense that he's just been arraigned on moments ago. It's based on we're asking $25,000 cash bail to ensure his appearance at further court dates. It's based on the nature of the charges, the facts of the case, the court of probation record. Turning to the nature of the charges, counts 1 and 2 are OUI, serious injury and negligence. If convicted, he would face a mandatory minimum jail sentence of 6 months. If the case is accepted for indictment, the mandatory minimum would go up to 2.5 years. It will be something that will be presented to the indictment committee for consideration for indictment. Turning to the facts of the case and summarizing from the Weymouth Police Department reports, on February 23rd of 2016, officers were dispatched to Washington Street, which is a public way in the town of Weymouth, for a report of a car versus pedestrian crash. The officers arrived on scene and observed 2 EMTs who were attending to a party who was laying on the ground in a parking lot. That person was later identified as the named victim, who was a pedestrian who had been standing in that area and had been struck by a vehicle that was operated by the defendant before you today. They spoke with the operator of a vehicle that had severe front-end damage to it. That person, Mr. Christopher, stated that he was in his vehicle waiting to pull out of a business onto Washington Street when he saw a gold Chrysler Pacifica coming straight towards his vehicle, driving off the roadway. He attempted to put his vehicle into reverse to avoid being struck, but he wasn't able to switch gears fast enough. His vehicle was then struck in the front corner, spinning his truck to a complete 180 degrees, pushing it onto the curbing. The gold Chrysler Pacifica, then continued for another distance before striking the pedestrian, who was transported to the hospital with serious injuries. My understanding, he was too critical to move last night. He is currently, he had surgery to repair a collapsed diaphragm and collapsed aorta. He is still in critical condition at this time.
Do you know where he is?
I believe he's at this hospital.
He's at this hospital.
The officers then continued their investigation. They did speak with the defendant before you today, who did initially refuse treatment from emergency medical services. Officers spoke with the defendant, asked him to walk around to the other side of his vehicle. He was unsteady on his feet and swaying. There was a strong odor of alcohol coming from his breath. He was slurring his words. His eyes were glassy and bloodshot, and his pupils were constricted to pinpoints. He was asked if he consumed any alcohol that day, and he denied having consumed any alcohol. He was asked if he could take field sobriety tests, including the alphabet test, the count backwards test. He was able to complete the alphabet at a slow pace, but kept an even rhythm, except for pausing for 3 to 4 seconds between the letters Y and Z. He was unable to do the count backwards test. He was asked to do the one-leg stand and the 9-step walk and turn. He was unable to do either of those as well. At one point during the 9-step walk and turn, he became so unsteady on his feet and swaying that he fell face first onto the asphalt. Officers then brought the ambulance back to assist the defendant, and he became unruly towards the paramedics. Officers had to assist the paramedics in putting him on the stretcher as he attempted to get his blood on everyone. He then began to ask what was going on and stated that he had no recollection of the crash. or why he was under arrest. He exhibited mood swings during his time in custody during his time in custody. Officers also recovered surveillance cameras, surveillance videos showing the incident in question. The surveillance video shows that Mr. Mohan's Chrysler Pacifica was traveling on Washington Street, left the roadway, and smashed into the black pickup truck as it was trying to pull out of a business. The officers are in the process of collecting a second video surveillance from another business in the area to show the impact into the pedestrian. The Commonwealth believes, based on the serious nature of the facts, the serious and grave injuries that happened as a result of this crash to the named victim, that a $25,000 cash bail is appropriate and necessary to ensure the defendant's appearance. Also, the strengths of the case, the police have sought a search warrant to obtain the defendant's medical records. My understanding in speaking with the police prosecutor from Weymouth is that his medical records do show that he had the equivalent of a blood alcohol content of 0.36. Turning to the Board of Probation record, there are 13 contacts with our criminal justice system.
So just explain to me, the first two on this record there?
Yes, yes.
One says Haverhill, the other says Hingham. It has the same court number, right?
Correct.
Different numbers, but different, same court, which is Hingham, the 5A.
I think it's a typo, Your Honor.
One says Haverhill, that's a typo. Okay. So, is that two separate complaints?
I don't have any information to indicate that they are.
Okay. As opposed to one.
I counted
Because it
as
has
one.
different, first one
Right.
says 1658-0173, 1658-0056. Now, 58 is Hingham. So I'm assuming there's two different dockets between two different complaints.
I mean, I'm not sure, but it may be because it may have been transferred to another court.
Okay.
I noticed they're on the same day as
Same
well.
police department, Rockland,
Right.
which goes into Hingham.
Right.
But one says Haverhill Juvenile. I don't know why it says that.
Right. So I do not know that. I counted it as one. I counted it as one contact for that reason.
Okay. But you're moving on that to revoke, though.
The Hingham one, yes. Based
Right.
on the docket sheet, which I did get from Hingham, it is still an active case. It is scheduled for April 5th.
And the docket
was,
sheet shows the 0056.
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Shows one entry.
Have you seen that, Ms. Fuhr?
The docket, yes.
You have? Okay, good. Do you know anything about the other one, 0173?
I do not.
Okay. All right. So-
Other than that, I believe that's a typo in terms of it being Hingham versus Haverhill. I don't believe
Okay.
anything was in Haverhill.
All right, okay. You all set?
And for those reasons, we would ask for the $25,000 cash bail, condition of release that he not drive during the pendency of the case, and that he remain drug and alcohol free, subject to random testing.
Did they pull his license?
I believe they have, or are going to, yes.
All right. And, have you people pulled his license?
Yes, they have.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You know Officer Casey.
I do, Your
From
Honor,
Weymouth?
yes.
Okay, go
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, I'd ask that you not revoke Mr. Mohan's bail, but set a cash bail on the new case in the amount of $7,500. Mr. Mohan is a 51-year-old man who has lived in the Weymouth area, in Rockland area his entire life. He is a graduate of Weymouth High School. He has been employed his whole life until recently receiving an injury to his thumb. He was an auto mechanic that left him without employment since 2014. Prior to that, he worked his whole life in this area as a mechanic for various dealerships as well as independent gas stations. He recently received a settlement, which there's a reference in the report of a sum of money that was taken from Mr. Mohan's property. That's the only funds he has available to him in any way, shape, or form. So an amount higher than that would essentially hold him without bail. The reference to the Hingham case, Your Honor, I would point out in terms of the dangerousness issue for the bail revocation is it's my understanding that that case out of the Hingham District Court does not involve any acts of violence. It involves an allegation that Mr. Mohan drove by his previous residence during a point of time in the day that he has a receipt proving that he was actually at Stop and Shop at that time. So that's a case that he's dealing with. that he's dealing with in the normal course in